I'm Superantonio. And we're live. Greetings, friends. Happy Friday, and welcome back to Free Roam Fridays, where we free roam with Arthur in Chapter 2. Now, Inglorious, PS Cinco. You've heard of Cinco de Mayo? On this channel, we celebrate Cinco de PlayStation. I hope that doesn't get us deported. We are American citizens here. We were born in the great state of Lemoyne. Although, you know, the algorithm probably would like it if we weren't American citizens. The channel would probably get promoted more if we said death to America and Allah Akbar, which you're allowed to say. You're not allowed to say Merry Christmas or Christ is King. You have to say Happy Holidays. What's that about? Channel moderator Miko Herptile says, hello, Super Antonio, Sadie Mods, and everyone. Greetings, Miko. We're going to go visit mean old lady Watson and get a silver chain bracelet. And the legendary buck. And some other things. Some surprises tonight. First, we need to swap out the shoes. I like the worn rubber boots, but for, you know, the tan chaps, we need the tan worn rubber boots. I always like the worn boots. I don't like fancy boots on Arthur. He's not a fancy boot type person. And also, I would assume in 1899, your shoes got a lot of wear and tear. Mr. Matty says, I like that outfit Arthur has on. Greetings, Mr. Matty. This is our PS5 outfit. What's that about? Actually, technically, this is very close to the original outfit that I clothed Arthur in first playthrough. I really like this vest, and I always like to match the chaps to that vest. So it's more of a buckskin look, which isn't very, it's more frontier. It's less cowboy, I think. But, and Mike Darwin says, cute dog. Thank you, Mike. This is Sadie, the channel dog. She's very friendly. Greetings, Mike. Welcome to the stream. How are you? Mr. Matty says, have you ever made an outfit that matches the color of the Civil War Hardy hat? I have not, Mr. Matty, because I don't really like blue. I suppose we could, but it was more, the Civil War Hardy hat was always more about the shape. Now it's turned up on one side and the feather. I always liked that. And it just turned into a thing to like separate the channel from all the other Red Dead channels. Branding became part of the channel's brand. Nico says, hey, Mr. Matty, and Mike, and Mr. Matty says, howdy.
In all my life, really, laughed at. Balderdash. Are you quite certain you're not a spy?
How is everyone?
Those wretches will do anything to destroy me. My theories are correct, and I can prove it.
What are you doing?
I am the leading amateur paleontologist in the nation, and not one university will hire me because, unlike them, I actually have
I like how
ideas.
Arthur says everywhere.
You're a what?
I study
Here,
dinosaurs.
when,
you know, big lizards.
She tells him that there were
Are they real?
giant animals,
real, you
giant lizards.
nincompoop. And
And after
everywhere,
Arthur asks, are they real? Are they real? And he
Everywhere.
should kind of know.
this
Hosea should
state
have
was once
explained
a
natural
vast,
history to him.
Shallow sea that had the most incredible animal.
He wonders
that
if
could
they're still
walk,
around.
swim,
Are
and
they still here?
fly.
Can I
Quite
hug
unique.
them?
I call it
Mike Darwin says,
Totalis
favorite horse in the
Just
game?
for now.
You're looking at it.
I'm trying to gather all the evidence. Miss Deborah McGinnis.
And of course, the silver
meet you.
dapple
Could you
Pinto
give me a
Missouri
hand here,
Foxtrotter.
please?
Of course.
Yeah. Listen, If you
Very
find
helpful
any of
of
these
Arthur.
bones around the country,
It
send
looks
them
like
to
a
my
sternum.
homestead.
Mama One is
Burwood
here.
Rise
Everyone say hi to
in
Mama One. And
Cumberland
Papa One says,
Forest.
hey gang.
Or
And Mama One says, hey
mail me the
family.
locations.
Greetings, Mama
I'll
One and
reward
Papa
you
One.
handsomely for
I say
your
unequivocally and
Sure.
without
Why not?
shame or
efforts.
embarrassment
And we'll be proving a lot
that
of
I missed
stuck-up
you.
buffoons very, very
I'm happy
wrong,
to see you.
which,
Miko says,
trust me,
hello,
is
Mama
the
One
very
and
best
Papa One.
thing about science. Good day to you,
Also,
sir.
New York is going even crazier.
Good luck. I'll keep
Thought of
my
you,
eye
Papa
out
One,
for you.
with the Democratic nominee for mayor of New York City. Mama One says, hey, Miko, and Papa One says, Miko, hope you are well, my friend. Mike likes the Dutch warm blood. It's a little slow for my tastes, Mike, but there's a lot of horses in this game, and that's one of the best things about the horse. Mama One says, I missed you too, Super Antonio and Sadie. Mama One missed you. See? See, you were missed. She's very tired,
All right, girl.
Miko. But I gave her an extra long walk before our live stream, just to settle her down. Papa One says, been excited for the stream all day. Well, we're going to be streaming all weekend, Papa One. And we're going to stream on July 4th. I didn't realize that was a Friday. So it's going to be a free roam July 4th Friday. But tonight we're getting the silver chain bracelet and doing a little hunting. The legendary buck.
Yeah.
Papa One says, NYC is doomed worse than Titanic. Yeah, he kind of reminds me of Sadiq Khan from New York, from London. But, you know, London has a way higher Muslim population than New York. And, you know, there's a lot of Jews in New York. Am I allowed to say that? And I just don't see him getting elected. Also, he would be bad for the market. He would be bad for Wall Street. I think he's just enjoying his time in the spotlight. But I don't think Wall Street would put up with his nonsense. You know, so I just think they're letting him talk. Dakre says, good evening. Hope you're doing well. Mr. Matty says the best Dutch warm blood is Buell. I would have to agree. The Cremello Gold, I love that coat. Mike Darwin says he likes the chocolate roan. I also like the chocolate roan. We had the chocolate roan for a brief minute on this playthrough before we upgraded to the Piebald Tobiano. Ambush point, not here, on the other side, at Twin Stack Pass. We're not ready to get the Brindle. That's why we're looking and we're trying to be vigilant. But you never know about New York City. You know, they're crazy. I mean, Los Angeles elected Karen Bass. What's that about? And, you know, part of me is like, go for it. You deserve what you get. You know, and just, I would enjoy watching it all burn down. But, you know, I still love New York. I mean, architecturally, it's a beautiful city. You know, it used to be a jewel of the East Coast and a world-class city. And now, now you get lit on fire on the subway. Now. But, so it's like, it's turned into real-life Gotham. So I suppose I like the New York of the past, of the movies and TV. You know, I like the image of New York, just like I like the image of San Francisco. So I guess that's, this is the world we live in. That's the future we're heading for. But the only way to get rid of these policies is to demonstrate quite visually and vocally and loudly how bad they are and how they do not work at all. Miko says, hey, Dakare. Papa One says, I hope so, but a certain group of voters aren't the sharpest tool in the shed. Yeah. Karen Bass. Cloudy says, howdy, y'all. Greetings, Cloudy. Miko says, hey, Cloudy. And Mama One says, hey, Cloudy. Cloudy says, I was going to watch Squid Game Season 3, but I saw you were live, and I'd rather watch the live stream. I appreciate that, Cloudy. That is fine praise coming from you. It's a great show, Squid Game, from what I heard.
Welcome back.
But yeah, it's streaming. You can watch that anytime.
What would you like to send?
Cloudy. But you can watch this on replay. You know, I don't want to interfere. Mike Darwin says New York is really weird and New York needs a Batman. Coincidentally, Mike, we do a Batman Arkham Knight stream on Sundays.
That's it.
And Miko says, too bad, New York City must be the most famous city in the world. Well, I don't know about that, but it ranked up there with, you know, London, Paris, Moscow, you know, Beijing. You know, it was the real capital of, you know, when you thought of America, you thought of New York and Los Angeles. And now what? Mama One says, when we went to New York, I hated it as it was too congested for my taste. Also, the rats in the trash cans. This was in 2016, and yes, despite being a farm girl, I am terrified of rats. Papa One says, is Squid Game good? I've heard great things about it, Papa One. It is in Korean, so you will have to use subtitles, but I love subtitles. Cloudy says, I'm doing good, Papa One. Did some fishing today. Only got some bluegills. How are you doing, Papa One? If you got a bluegill, you can craft some potent predator bait. Mr. Matty says, Miko, either that or Dubai. Yeah. Dubai is a world-class city. Dubai looks like the future. Excellent tax rates in Dubai as well. Cloudy says, it's an amazing show, Papa One. Oh, I watched an excellent show. What is it called? It's called Countdown. It's on Amazonia Prime. Primo de Amazonia. And it's an Amazon Prime original. And it stars that guy from one of the brothers from Supernatural, Jensen Ackles. Mike is playing through Arkham Asylum. We'll do Arkham Asylum. Right now I want to get 120% on Arkham Knight. And it's called Countdown, and it kind of reminds me of 24. Jack Bauer 24. It's this, but it's Homeland Security. It's in Los Angeles. A Hollywood version of Los Angeles that is not a dystopian hellhole. So it's obviously a fantasy, and you know, there's terrorists bringing in, trying to assemble a dirty bomb, and it's not like 24 in the sense of the time frame, but you know, the tension and the character development and the you know, and the life and death stakes. You know, the whole city is under threat, and the secrecy. You know, you can't trust anyone in the government, you know, or in your department. So it's kind of a rogue task force. And I think they had like 3 or 4 episodes, and I watched it, and I was quite happy. I was quite impressed. You know, it's a little bit current day. I mean, you can't avoid it, but it's not egregiously so. Yeah, I think you'd like it. I haven't watched 24 since it came out, so I don't know if 24 holds up. I would assume it would. I imagine that series is on Netflix somewhere. Papa One says, we are great, Cloudy. Sold some horses to a local farm and finished making a saddle for a client. Mama One says Papa One and I will have to give Squid Game a watch. Yeah, Mama One, I can recommend it even now, though I haven't seen it, just because it's been recommended to me by people I trust. Cloudy says, Super Antonio, when I got the first bluegill, I said, you, sir, are a fish. It was a small bluegill. I don't know. Do bluegills get big? And what do bluegills taste like? Mr. Maddie says, what upcoming films are y'all most looking forward to? Mithrigan 2.0?
Yeah.
That looks interesting. I liked Mithrigan 1. You know. And so, yeah, Mithrigan 2.0. And then there was another one. I forgot what. Yeah, it's summer. Movies are coming out. Upcoming movies. Oh, I had thought there's the Mummy. They're making a new Mummy, and Superman. Not looking forward to that. Spider-Man: Brand New Day. Silent Hill. That's next year. Jurassic World Rebirth. With Scarlett Johansson, who has disavowed her outfit from Black Widow. She hates it now. She says she feels exploited, and you know, she's a mom, and you know you're not allowed to be attractive anymore. So she's just trying to keep up. But there's a poster. I saw it, and I wanted to talk about it a little bit. So we'll talk about it. So it's Scarlett Johansson. I love her. You know, I have 2 posters, Lost in Translation and Ghost in the Shell. You know, so she used to be, and probably still is, one of my favorite actresses. I have a bunch of her movies on Blu-ray. So she's the star of this new Jurassic Park, and the poster is just so typical of what they're doing now. Okay, she's you know, it's like hot and humid. Okay, so you would expect to have her in a sweaty tank top with bare arms, and no, you don't get that. She's a long sleeve T-shirt, a little V-neck. It's kind of closed up. Okay, you know, it's in the dark. She's holding a long shooty bang. I can't say what it is, but you know, she's holding one of those, and she's got a very intense grr face in her face. You know, she's just intense and serious. She's very beautiful aesthetically, but no, not in the poster. She's angry and serious and a leader. And then behind her, taller than her, not holding a weapon, is an older black man. And the black man is holding a flare up. That's what he's doing. He's holding a flare. He's older. He's wise. He's lighting the way for the new generation because the Force is female. And then behind those two, and they're also in the water or something, you know, it's like they're in a river. And behind those two is a white guy. And he also does not have a weapon. And he has glasses because obviously he's the egghead and he needs a strong woman to defend him against the dinosaurs. And that poster was enough to turn me off to the whole movie. I was like, and I love that franchise. I love the theme song. But yeah, I was like, nah, I'm going to give it a pass. Cloudy says, I've been watching Under the Dome. Have you heard of it? I read the book, Cloudy. I haven't watched it, but I read the book. I do like Stephen King. I don't like his politics, but I like his fiction. He's been a favorite author of mine since high school. Cloudy says bluegills can go up to 12 inches. And Papa One says there's something about the Hungarian half-bred Piebald Tobiano. It's such a beautiful horse. Perfect size and a great coat that mixes with Arthur's personality since he can go high or low on her. I agree, Papa One. That is exactly what I would say. So this is what I call a silver chain jewelry drop. Mama Watson has, mean old lady Watson. You'll get a silver pocket watch, a silver necklace, or a silver chain bracelet. And what you have to do is reload the save and go bother her again and again and again until you get the jewelry object that you want. Mr. Maddie says, wasn't she wearing a tank top and a vest? Pretty sure she was. Well, I'm sure there's different versions of the poster, Mr. Maddie. But I don't have high hopes. Also, CGI. Modern CGI is like so inferior to like CGI from 10 or even 20 years ago. Arthur meant to do that. He still has Batmobile reflexes. Mike says, I like the dapple one. I forget the coat. Hungarian half-bred. The it's the dapple gray Hungarian. Mr. Roble has one. Papa One says, the dapple dark gray, Mike. And Mike says, thanks, Papa One. Here's tonight's thumbnail. Papa One says, great pick. Love that horse too, Mike.
About damn time. They said you'd be through 2 days ago.
So we just keep going until we get it.
Now that's a worse
The silver
mistake you
locket
could ever
necklace.
make.
And don't forget to get rid of the autosave. Some people turn off the autosave, but I like to have it on. It's kind of a boots and suspenders type situation for me. Or belt and suspenders. Pardon me. Got my green tea tonight. Mr. Maddie, we will forget the shotgun. I don't like that shotgun. And also it's a worn weapon. It's hard to get, you know, it will never be... I mean, it's a free shotgun, but we don't need it. And they can keep it. But yeah, there's a shotgun downstairs. And for me, it just clutters up the weapon wheel. I know we could just dump it in the locker, but it's no bolty.
Now that's a worse mistake
And a
you
silver
could
chain
ever
bracelet.
make.
And then Arthur feels a little bad. He's going to shoot up the place like he used to do.
You think you can steal
And
from me?
I just
You
don't
got
feel good
no
about
idea
destroying
what's
private
coming
property
your
anymore.
way.
All the peaceful protesters
gonna
kind of
take what I
ruined
need,
that for
lady,
me
and be
in
on
terms
my
of
way.
fun.
Let me
And I
give
don't
you-
like promoting it
Turn
Um,
around. Walk out of here.
in videos
Far,
anymore.
far
I don't
away.
agree. But he's going to do it for old times. He used to do this all the time in Free Roam Fridays, so I guess it's a tradition.
You son of a bitch.
Mom once says it's not worn, it just needs gun oil.
Take that. You. God damn it.
Mike says, Super Antonio, what do you say is the best revolver in Red Dead Redemption 2? Well,
What the hell you think?
Um,
You're
people like the Schofield a lot, but I prefer Flacco's gun. Just because I like the handle. I like the ivory handle. Callum, my boy, is here. Callum, everybody say hi to Callum. Callum says, hey guys, sorry I've been away for a while. That's no worries, Callum. We're still here. And how was your holiday? Did you come back with a tan? And Pop One says, Mama Watson's donkey reminds me a few months back when Mama One insisted we take home an elderly donkey in addition to several horses. The donkey was old, but my wife thought he was cute. Well, it's nice he gave him a home. And Papa One says, really old, crashed into our rabbit pen when a farm dog scared him. I rehomed him shortly after. Mr. Maddie says, I always make sure to grab it as it's one of my favorite weapons. I designed mine to resemble Hosea's. Not sure why. And Mama One. I don't think we have any gun oil right now anyways. Mama One says, hey, Callum, how are you? Miko says, hey, Callum. Papa One says, Callum, glad you're back. How was your vacation? Callum says, holiday was good, got a tan, and got very drunk also. Cloudy says, howdy, Callum. And that one Soviet boy says, hey, y'all, greetings. Soviet boy. And welcome to the chat. Callum says, hey, Cloudy, and Mike likes the Lamat. That's the one with the over and under. It's got the single shot. Very handy. Very handy. Hardly ever use it. But I hardly use handguns in this, for my Arthur. You know, I prefer distance weapons. Mom One says, I'm great, Miko, just the same as always. Did some farm chores, made us a delicious rabbit stew with potatoes, carrots, corn, lima beans, then apple pie for dessert. I want to get some apple pie and vanilla ice cream for the 4th of July. And I thought we'd have hot dogs, but we might have cheeseburgers instead. Miko says, that one Soviet boy, and Pop One says, glad you enjoyed yourself, Callum. Hopefully you met some ladies. Knowing Callum, I'm sure he did. Mr. Maddie says, I always use Schofield's, but in the epilogue, I use Algernon's revolver. Tahitian pearls. It's a fancy revolver. I don't know what Algernon's... We're going to completely whiff this, which I have not done in literal years. And I blame Bruce Wayne. Calm says, no ladies, sadly, Papa One. They all had boyfriends.
Here we are.
Ain't that always the way, Callum? And Miko says, yum, I like potatoes and corn too. See, the CGI in the Lord of the Rings trilogy is you know, over 20 years old, and it's head and shoulders above anything that comes out now. And they were making that. Just think of the computing power they were using to make those. Papa One says, ah, well, that's how it goes sometimes, Callum, as long as you had fun. I always had good luck, Callum, in hotel bars in my youth. You know, just me and my friends would hang out at a local hotel bar and meet some tourists who were interested in a local Hawaiian experience. Make some promises about, see, look, I thought we got him. And he went down, but then he got back up. Because we're not using explosive rounds. We forgot to switch over. Make some promises that you'll show them some private beaches that only the locals know about. That was in my wicked, wicked youth. I don't do that anymore, Miko. Or Callum. Or Miko. Or Mama One. And I apologize to there weren't that many ladies, but all the ladies that I met under false pretenses. Mike says, on your opinion, Super Antonio, what would you say is the best rifle? There's no opinion. It is fact. It is an immeasurable, immutable fact. The bolt action rifle, good old Bolty, is the best rifle in Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm being sarcastic, Mike. That's my favorite. Calm says, got a few ladies last weekend, though. Yeah, it's always the last weekend. That's when you're just like, you throw caution to the wind. Papa One says the old tourist trap was Super Antonio's signature move. Well, you know, it worked. So I was like, okay. So in the old days, I would have just given up and come back or did a save reload. But we actually tried to look for him, and we'll find him. Spoiler alert. Mike says Springfield is really good for hunting. Yeah, I prefer Springfield for hunting. But an all-around great rifle is the bolt action. Bolt action is okay at hunting, great at combat. Very accurate. Decent reload rate. Papa One says, why do I feel like Super Antonio would have had his friend pretend to be a purse snatcher so he could take the thief down and be the lady's hero? That happened to a friend of mine. That for real. They got mugged on a first date, and he got to be the hero, even though he didn't like save the money or anything. But you know, she was so frightened and traumatized that she kind of fell into his arms. No, I just kind of showed up and smiled. Hey, how are you? I'm Super Antonio. Mike says Evan's repeater is really good for combat. Yeah, it is 25 rounds. It solves a lot of problems. But is that even available for Arthur? Or is that post game? I usually just go with the Lancaster. Good old Lanky. But in free roam, we don't get into a situation where we need 25 rounds. You know, all we do is kind of hunt, ride around, routine camp inspections, maybe look for ghosts. Mom once says maybe it was a sign getting mugged on their first date. Might have been a warning that it will only get worse. I agree, Mama One. You got to pay attention. You know, I'm a little superstitious about things like that. The things of the heart, romance. I would have considered it an omen, and it's not like they're together now. See, he's still around, and he's injured. That's a blood trail. Pop One says Evan's repeater takes years to reload. Arthur reloads it starting in 1899, and only in 1907 is it finished. Yeah, but it's fun to listen to. There it is. See? Or there he is. And the problem was we didn't use explosive rounds. But we got him. We take the whole carcass back to the trapper, mainly because you get a little extra cashola, and it seems disrespectful to leave him there. The trapper can use every part of him.
Come on, girl.
He is a legendary buck, after all. Scarlet Apostate is back. Greetings, Scarlet. How are you, my friend? And she's laughing at what Papa One said. There, Papa One, you made someone laugh. Your work here is done. Dakura says, why don't you skin it and take the carcass? Because it bloodies up the horse. And who wants that? Callum says, sorry, was on the phone. And Miko says, hey, Scarlet. Mike asks, what's the best riding horse in Red Dead Redemption 2? You're looking at him. Or you're looking at her. And Papa One says, hey, Scarlet. We were just talking about your namesake, Scarlett Johansson.
I know, girl. Just give me a
I don't know if
second.
it's your namesake, Scarlet, and I apologize if you've heard that your whole life. She spells Scarlet with 2 T's. Why do I know that? Celebrity culture. So embarrassing. Mom one says, I wish the legendary animals would respawn so you could get more money. Do they respawn for John in the epilogue? They do not. Once they're gone, they're gone. But you get the you get the Tatanka bison and the legendary Coog and one more legendary pronghorn down there. Or down south.
Let's go, girl. Yeah.
Okay. We're going to enter Cougar Country. So we gotta be ready. We gotta be prepared. Spoiler alert. We are going to be disappointed. And I hate when an NPC is in front of us, because if the cougar is here, it'll chase the NPC.
Sorry, girl.
However, regrettably, there's going to be no cougar. And he's looking for a fight. What's that about? Spent all week fooling around with Batman Arkham Knight. Speaking of a fight. Doc Chris says, why not use the NPC as bait? Doesn't really work. Cougar's not going to stand still for... Or I've never really tried, but, you know, they'll just chase the... They'll chase the NPC and then vanish in the trees. Mike says, I need to go now, but I'm going to try to tune into more streams. Okay, Mike, I appreciate you being here. Happy Friday. And Mike says, I've been busy moving. Moving is a pain. It's always better. It's always more fun when it's done. But I think it's up there with like divorce and death of a family member is one of the most stressful things you can do.
Yep.
Mama one says, bye, Mike. I wish I'd taken pictures of our move here. Like for the first time in my life, I hired big hairy apes to move. All the other times, it's just been me and friends and pickup trucks. But this time, I got 2 like Russian power lifters, super strong guys, barely spoke English, but you know they had their own like moving company, and
I can help.
you know the American dream. So I had them move, and you know they were, you know, they're thoroughly professional. I boxed everything up, but you know they were like wrapping things in plastic, wrapping things in you know like those blankets and stuff. You know they had dollies, and they knew how to, you know, just like, and they were just like huge. They looked like power lifters, but they stacked all the boxes, you know, very nicely, and they moved furniture where it needed to be, like the heavier stuff. But and so I unloaded all the boxes and just kind of like piled them willy-nilly around the apartment as I was organizing things and putting things away. And you know, Sadie would just follow me around, and wonder what we were doing and why are we here and what's happening. And then somehow she got herself boxed in, literally. But these were empty boxes, and I just heard her whining, and I found her behind some boxes that she could literally have just pushed out of the way. But you know, it was I had left her there boxed in, and I felt really bad. I apologized. Callum's leaving. Mom once says, bye, Mike, and Papa once says, see ya, Mike. Good luck with the move. Callum says, I'm going to go to bed, but I'll be here in time for the next stream. It was nice speaking with you all, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of the stream. Love you all, and have a good night. Great to hear from you, Callum. Welcome back. Missed you, my boy. We'll be doing a Last of Us stream tomorrow night and a Batman stream on Sunday. Cloudy says, have you done any of the Arkham Knight DLC missions? I've done Jerp's Tetch, Mad Hatter, which I kind of like, but not really. I'll explain it. And I might show it on Sunday. And I've done, what did I do? Oh, you can't say his name, algorithm. Thriller, rhymes with thriller, starts with a K, Croc. I did that one. And that one I liked more. Really looking forward to Ra's al Ghul, and then you know, you get the Mr. Freeze one, or Dr. Freeze. So yeah, it's like I've done 2 of them, and I've really enjoyed them. You get 8 points each, so that really helped to max Bruce out. Mamon says, have a great night, Callum. Miko says, good night, Callum. Mom once says, I couldn't imagine moving from the farm. We have too much stuff. I mean, Papa One's Shooty Bang collection is probably a U-Haul or 2. Papa One, you should make a video of your collection. The algorithm is much kinder to videos of those Second Amendment collections than it is to you're literally not allowed to show them on live streams.
Thanks, partner.
You'll get shut down instantly. But yeah, make a video. Well, I don't know. It's like there are security issues, I suppose. But yeah, I'm curious. Scarlett says, howdy everyone. I'm in the epilogue, finishing up challenges to get 100%. I'm finding it a bit artsome and sometimes lonely. Any advice or pointers? And Scarlett says, good night. Yeah, it is lonely. New Austin is lonely. For John. It's one of the reasons why I don't like Marston Mondays and finally gave it up. Pointers? I could give you specific pointers on whatever you're working on. But yeah, I don't, it's like 100%. I've only done it once, literally. And, to me, it's just not worth it. Because I'd rather play as Arthur. Papa One says, I wonder why they are different with live streams than videos. Because they're worried about the randomness of the live stream. What are you going to do with that Shooty Bang? They're worried about you, they're worried about crime being committed during the live stream. And probably them suddenly being liable for it. Cruz says, hi, Superantonio. Hi, everyone. Papa One, Mama One, Scarlett, Cloudy, Callum, and Sadie. Greetings, Cruz. How are you, my friend? Sadie's here. She's under the desk. I'll bring her back up for you.
You saved me, partner.
And Miko says, hey, Cruz.
I was almost a meal there.
Good luck to
Here
you.
she is.
Watch out for yellow
She says, hey,
eyes.
Cruz, and tells everyone to like and subscribe. We need these, we need a wolf pelt for the satchel and the other one for camp upgrades. But we need the whole carcass for camp upgrades because we need the skull. She's got a hard head. She head-butted me today. when we were doing push-ups. I was doing push-ups. She was watching me with great interest from the couch when suddenly, when I was in plank position, she leapt off the couch and dove into me at full ramming speed and headbutted me. This right here went right here. The resounding thunk, and I laughed through my pain. Cruz says, crazy, I was just thinking how playing with Marston in New Austin is a calming experience for me. Haven't been able to do a Marston, New Austin excursion in months. And Cloudy says, howdy, Cruz. And Papa One says, hey, Cruz, hope you're well. Yeah, the Fort Mercer raid, that's always fun. Cruz says, can't do push-ups right now because my shoulder. Typical excuse, I know. Yeah, I like whacked my knee out, so I couldn't do burpees for a long time. For like 2 weeks. It was super annoying. So I know how you feel, Cruz. And we'll donate that wolf carcass because Trapper had to run away from the gunfire. Cloudy says she thought she was a goat. LOL. She's done it before. She's done it many times since she was a baby. She's always liked headbutting me when if I'm on the floor, if I'm stretching, or or exercising. She just feels it's time for her to exercise too. And Cruz says, yes, Papa One, everything is okay. Papa One says, headbutts can hurt, Superantonio. Yeah, she rang my bell. I saw stars. But the worst thing is teaching a farmhand to make horseshoes and spurs, and he whacks your fingers with a hammer. Yeah, that would hurt more. That would hurt more. I agree. Arthur meant to do that. He's got Batmobile reflexes. The good news is we're getting really good at Batman Arkham Knight, to the detriment of this game and every other game.
Come on.
Mama One says that or ramming your shin into a truck's trailer hitch. An immovable object. Yeah, that. I've never actually done that, but I know exactly how that would feel. Cruz says, was thinking about the Buffalo rifle too, Superantonio, from Red Dead 1, when you guys were talking about rifles. I remember that. I guess the Carcano is kind of the Red Dead 2 version of it. Oh, we're also going to get an alligator for the saddle. Doing a lot of hunting. A lot of hunting tonight. We will need to raise another $1,000 for camp upgrades, Dutch's tent, etc. It's always around $1,200. I think, yeah, we've got 600 now. So actually, no,
Supplies are low.
but so we might do a treasure map just because it's good. It's an entertaining video. It's entertaining content. Papa One says, my dad had a huge pain tolerance, but one thing that always got him was the trailer hitch to the shin. I remember when we had a horse spook and my dad ran to help him, but ran his shin right into the trailer hitch. He was down for a few minutes saying words that would make a nun blush. And Cruz is laughing about those trailer hitches. And Cruz says, Superantonio, will you see the Minecraft movie with your nephew? Be a nice homage to the start of your Red Dead channel. He does like Jack Black. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Cruz. I hadn't really thought about that. He loved Wally. When he could barely talk, when he was like 2, 4, he was a toddler. He might have even been still in diapers, but he was talking. Another very happy memory is he loved Wally, and he was explaining Wally to me. Basically just narrating the whole movie as we sat on the couch. It was the cutest thing. And that little boy voice. Just, now Wally's talking to Eve. What's he saying? What do you think he's saying? He's saying we have to spin around. You know, it's like he had just started to verbalize and was understanding. You know, it's like he'd come online. His verbal skills had come online. That was pretty funny. Mama once says, I remember that so vividly. And Cruz says, never got around to seeing Wally. And that's adorable. It was kind of adorable. Gay. No, it's not gay. And gay's good. Happy Pride Month. I think it's still Pride Month. Yeah. The Ligabitas. Oh, you know what's an interesting coincidence that I'm sure is not a coincidence? But you know how the riots suddenly stopped and it stopped getting media coverage and it just vanished as soon as they said they were going to investigate who's funding the riots.
Welcome back. Good to see you again.
And now there's no more riots. I'm sure it's a coincidence.
Hope your journey's a good
Let's
one.
go to Annesburg, the Burg of Annas. There's no riots, and everyone's siding with Iran, flying Iranian flags. First you had to fly a rainbow flag, and then you had to fly a Palestinian flag, then you had to fly a Mexican flag, and now we need to fly an Iranian flag. What flag will be next, I wonder? Any flag except the red, white, and blue, of course. Papa One says it's Veterans Month now, Super Antonio. Yes, indeed, Papa One, as well it should be. They took it too far. That's the problem. I had no problem with gay marriage. And I used to describe myself as socially liberal and fiscally conservative. But you took it too far, and now I'm just conservative.
Anywho.
Annesburger's the safest, seems to be the safest train stop station for horses. The worst ones are Wallace and Saint Denis. You'll definitely spawn the horse on the tracks at Wallace Station. It's very dangerous. But we're fine. Horse is fine. And we're opening up the map. Cougar here. Unless there's a black bear.
Yeah.
And there's a black bear, so we're fine. There's an elk, though, to the left, and we do need 2 elks, but not today, not right now. We are kind of working on the satchel, but we're mostly working on a saddle. Cruz says, LOL, when my young brother was in kindergarten, he started learning about curse words. He knew about how to get me mad around that time, and when he yelled, when I did once, he yelled, "Now you hate me," and to call me a ficker. Yeah, curse words. Fortunately, I didn't teach my nephew any curse words that I know of. I don't think I did. My sister would have been super angry at me. No stamina on these early level HHs, but such a beautiful horse. I'm so glad the bounty hunter camp is working again. Because I do prefer females. Cruz says, LOL, superantonio. He literally said verbatim, Ficker. I couldn't help but just laugh as a reaction. Yeah, it's cute. Okay, let's get an alligator and save a revenuer. Miko says, don't have to teach them. They pick it up on their own from what they see and hear from others. Very true. That's the way it should be, I think. Cruz says Rockstar could have made a lot of money by just continually adding more bounty hunting missions to single player. They could have, but they the model, I believe, was always to go online and play as your own character, because you know the online environment is very rich and robust as far as I know, but I just don't think they anticipated how much people would fall in love with story mode and with Arthur. Cruz says, was one of my favorite things to do as John, bounty hunter missions. And Pop One says, farm kids learn curse words fast, even though I don't remember much of my childhood, I can still hear my dad getting hurt by smashing his shin and going F-word me to tears. And usually, if you get one of those Lemoynes, the other one will charge you, but I guess we're too far away. And he just ran away in fear, like a coward. And it's pretty darn dark. How are we going to get an alligator at night without a night vision scope? Arthur has a little thing called Deadeye. We'll be fine.
Yep.